Welcome to the Hair Metal Rules Podcast, where we celebrate all things 80s hair and glam rock. Join us as we dive into the world of spandex, big hair, and killer guitar solos with your host, Big J. From iconic bands like Motley Crue and Def Leppard to the lesser-known gems of the era like Lillian Axe and Babylon AD, we cover them all. So grab your hairspray and leather pants because it's time to rock out with the Hair Metal Rules Podcast.
Going to be very, very big in the rock and roll world. Mm-hmm. Besides a singer, he's a foxy guy.
What's happening?
So what are you up to these days?
So I actually I retired about 5 years ago. I was after music, I got involved in like the motion picture industry, like into transportation. Actually, I was in animation for about 5 years and worked on some movies, and then I got into transportation, and I actually worked for like I was a Teamster, like out there, the local 399. So it's like the motion picture union. So I did that for about 27 years. And then like when COVID happened, they were trying to enforce like the jab and all this stuff. It just got crazy. And I looked at like the numbers and I just said, you know what, I got a few years left, but if I leave now, I can get ABC. So me and my wife, I bailed. So I got my pension, and so I'm just enjoying my life. I had a property, actually a couple properties in California. We sold one of them, and then we came in here, bought like 25-acre farm. I feel like I'm living like a rock star, dude.
You are living like a rock star. You're doing what you want to do now.
Well, yeah, for sure. But so that's kind of my life. I was just enjoying my grandkids. I have my daughter's here. She's visiting from Utah, so we were just hanging out in the pool. And, you know, my son had told me that you had gotten a hold of the Instagram page, which he kind of checks for me. I don't really even look at it. And I thought, well, hey, man, someone still wants to talk to me about Odin. Sure. You know.
Well, I had talked to Sean.
Oh, cool.
I talked to him a few weeks ago, and of course he was kicked back at his swimming pool. He was on a break from he was waiting to go back out with LA Guns again. And I asked him, I said, do you think Randy would do an interview? He's like, all you can do is say no. All you can do is ask. Yeah. Asking's free. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm into it. I mean, I always think like, I think it's a trip that people still want to talk to us, you know, and you're legends, whether it's like he and I talked about, you guys are legends, whether you think you are or not, because you guys ruled the Sunset Strip. We definitely did. What people don't realize, like with Odin, is that, we were really young, like 16, 17, 18 years old when that all happened. So they don't realize how young we were and how talented we were. Because Sean and Aaron and Jeff are all very talented musicians. And at that time, there was people that weren't so talented. Now, whether our songs, people liked them or disliked them, whatever. But we also were around on two different waves, which is like, so we were around when Motley and Rat and Wasp and Warrior and like all these bands we were seeing as young kids, 16, 17, 18-year-olds at the Troubadour and all the local clubs. And the scene, it was big, but it wasn't as big as when after they kind of all left, we watched that wave leave Great White, like we'd watch them and next thing you know, you'd see them on MTV. So we saw that whole wave and we were with them. We were opening for all those bands, and then there was like this next wave that came, which was Warrant. My cousin's the bass player for Warrant. Jerry took lessons from Aaron. Really? Yeah. So like they were all opening for Odin, and now we were kind of the big dogs, It was just an interesting time, and then like I was saying, like, so once like the Rats, the Great Whites, the Wasps, they all kind of left.
now the scene just blew up because everybody wanted to be the next Rat or whoever they wanted to be. And so it was interesting to be there and to see that and to be part of it. And we were, no matter what anybody says, we were the biggest drawing band. I mean, we were doing 3 nights at Gazzarri's and we were selling out everywhere, but we weren't getting the record deal. It was heartbreaking, you know, and eventually it led me, and I'm probably jumping ahead, it led me to leave the band because I didn't understand, like, here, you know, like, say, for instance, Tesla, they were called City Kid, and they opened for us, you know, like, so you'd have all those types of bands, you know, and then the next thing you know, they're signed. Or then Warrant signed, or like, we see Poison come in. I mean, I remember Poison the first day they got here, they got here from Pennsylvania, coming to the Troubadour, booking, you know, trying to get a gig booked. And I was sitting up there, you know, with probably a couple of guys from the band and maybe with like this promoter, and here they come, and literally see them come, never played a show, to playing shows. Now they're signed. And you're just like going, why aren't we getting signed? What are we doing wrong? And then that's what also caused Odin, I feel, to like originally Odin was, if you listen to our early like little EP thing that we made, we were really like Sabbath and, you know, really heavy. I don't want to say like a Metallica, but we were like literally we were hanging out with Metallica. Like we went to San Francisco, and those are the kind of people that were interested in us. But then once we got, I don't even know what the word, once like we started seeing Rat, like the glamour kind of their costumes, and then we were like, well, we got to be like that. We got to wear the spandex. We got to put makeup on. And it kind of changed I think our direction, and we kind of in a way a little bit sold out, and we're trying to be like everybody else. And that was kind of, I think, our downfall in the end, really in the end. If we would have just stayed true to who we were, I think it would have eventually happened for us bigger, and it would have been different. I don't know if that, I don't know if that made any sense or not.
Well, no, because the whole Sunset Strip thing, it fascinates me because I've told it on my podcast before, my exposure to this kind of music, it started with Night Songs, Cinderella. That's the first thing I ever heard. Before that, it was Duran Duran. That's where I was in my teenage years, and then once I heard this, I never looked back. And if it wasn't on the pages of Metal Edge magazine, if it wasn't in the pages of Rip magazine, you didn't know who these people were. But my first exposure to really knowing Odin was, of course, Decline of Western Civilization.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie. Every time I see it, I see something new that I like in it. But you always heard about what this Sunset Strip was all about, but living on the East Coast, you didn't experience that kind of stuff. You just read.
There was a lot of
there
was a lot of bands. A lot of people told me they saw that movie and they headed out to LA to become a rock star.
Right.
Yeah.
And you look at all the people that you look at all the little blips. I mean, you've seen the movie. You saw all the blips. Some of these people, we're going to be the greatest rock band in the whole world. I'm not talking about when you guys were in the hot tub. I'm talking about the little clips.
Well, yeah, like for instance, with us, there's a lot of people that will talk crap about me because, I'd say I want to be as big as Robert Plant or Jim Morrison, and that I'm an idiot to ever think that. But you have to look at it this way. When you're a young kid, obviously I'm totally different today than I was then. Why wouldn't you want to be as big as Robert Plant? Why wouldn't you want to be as big as Jim Morrison? That's the whole goal. It's like being a little league baseball player. You want to be, Steve Garvey, or you want to be whoever it is, that you're chasing. So it's like the hate and the horrible things people said about the things that we said in that movie. For one, we're young kids. Like, people don't realize we were kids under 20 years old, and here we are in a major movie, that we were chosen to do, that we were paid to do. And also, when you look at it, that director set us up. I mean, she literally set us up. She was manipulating, the whole thing, and she took the parts that she wanted. We filmed for countless hours, and she took a lot of stuff because she wanted her movie to look a certain way. She'd take a picture of Jeff tripping on stage. She didn't have to put that in, but that just kind of that was what she was looking for. And I like with that movie, I have no regret for it. And everything I said, I believed I was going to be that big. And sure, people will say you're crazy, and people will say how horrible of a singer I am. It's like 50% of the people that love you and 50% of the people that hate you. And like, even today, it blows my mind, like, to go on YouTube, for instance, and the hatred towards us. Like, it's just unbelievable. Like, people have that kind of energy to say such negative things. Like say we played Rocklahoma 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And people take that as if like we're trying to become rock stars still. It's like, I'm a multimillionaire. You know what I mean? I'm not bragging. I'm very successful. I don't go out to play to become a rock star. I go out to play because I'm a musician, I'm a singer, and I want to perform. But there's people that it's just crazy. They put their energy, and maybe I focus on all this negativity. And it's like, let people be artists, let people live their life, let people, doesn't matter what age you are, let us go out and have fun. Don't take it too seriously. Maybe back in the day, maybe I was with your girlfriend or something and you're still mad at me. You know what I mean? That's what I kind of think, it's just like these
Yeah.
people, like you see it. I'm sure you see people that are like that. And I don't know. I don't even know why I'm bringing it up, but it's like, it kind of makes you not even want to do it. Like really, like, it's just like people just can't just let it go and let it be and let us go out and have a good time. It's like people just want to tear you apart. And it's too bad. It's sad.
Well, see
Anyway.
what not just your band, but any band that was featured on that movie. Me personally, I didn't take anything anybody said the wrong way because I was just intrigued that some of the Sunset Strip bands that I had read about, but didn't really know what they really looked like or what they looked like on stage. That's what drew me to that. I have a 25-year-old daughter that she's been
Oh,
listening
wow.
to this since she was about 2. So
Wow.
I introduced her to. She was at the house one time, and I introduced her to the movie because it was on YouTube. And I was like, "You're gonna love this." I said, "You want to know what the Sunset Strip looked like?" I said, "You know you're getting ready to see it." I said, "And the some of the bands that you're gonna hear talk on here, they weren't Motley Crues. They weren't. They didn't sell 20 bazillion albums." I said, "But these are the guys that busted their rear ends night after night after night that made the Sunset Strip what it really, really was, not
Well, yeah.
the glamorous stuff you see or hear about on television. These are the guys that,
Well, yeah,
fought
when
in
you
the
say that, we
trenches."
were we were the blue collar rockers. Like I look back at, this was my life. And kids today, they want to learn stuff so quickly. But say I don't know, I was probably 18 years old. This is what I would do. Get on a bus. I'd go to work at Builders Emporium. Okay. I'd take the bus after work and take it down to Glendale, go to my band rehearsal, practice, sing, go out to promote,
Right.
go back home, repeat, go to product to play a gig so that we could try to get a record deal. That was just our life. It was practice, it was promote, it was play a gig. Play every single party that you could play. But the thing about it is that, like you said, it was hard work. Whether you were good or bad, we were practicing and rehearsing and writing, and we were doing it. We were opening for all of the biggest bands, Dokken, Wasp. I mean, it's a fact that you could look at how many bands we opened. We did toured with Alcatraz, with Steve Vai. Like and when you say sell a bazillion records, don't take no for an answer. Record on Green World, the white vinyl I have right here. This record here sold a lot.
Right.
At the time, I said this was the number one selling record over even the Motley Crue. So at this point of our career, we thought we were going to be huge.
Sure.
And we had over $1 million invested in us. You should have seen where we were at. We were down in LA, had a massive warehouse. We had a mobile unit sound rig. Like, I mean, if you were living in our shoes at that time, you thought, hey, the next step is, it's it. We're next. Right. So it's like, but when you were saying, as far as like, we were the ones that were doing it, we worked hard for it. We worked so hard to get where we're at. And it's not easy to do that. And I told my son recently, he's released a few records. I'm like, the way that you could always make $1 is learn 100 cover songs. Teach yourself 100 cover songs. And I promise you, by the time you get done learning 100 songs, you're going to be really good. And
Right.
You're going to be able to go play anywhere, go to any bar and sing some songs and make $1.
Mm-hmm.
But he still hasn't done 100 songs. You got to get him to do it. But anyways, I mean, we worked hard, and it was enjoyable. It taught me a lot, to be disciplined and dedicated. But there's a lot of distraction too with all the drugs and all the drama that comes with that. And like with Odin, kind of what happened with me. I mean, this is my side of the story. It was just that I kind of, back to where I started. It's like, we weren't getting that big, bona fide record deal. And then Vicki Hamilton came into my life, who was the manager of Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue and Stryper. And, she had been really successful, and she was just, talking in my ear, just telling me how much of a rock star I was. And not needless to say, I mean, all these bands, like even Guns N' Roses, who came after us, which people don't realize, like we were doing it before them and before Poison. And I was out there doing my trip that a lot of people will say, people will tell me if I say this to you, or when I say this, like, he's full of it. But like Axl watched me perform, I mean, they were out, ripping each other off basically.
Sure.
And we all ripped somebody off. And people that were in that time, they know what was happening. But back to Vicki, and so she basically told me, you got to leave Odin, and we're gonna build another band, which was, I'll show you real quick.
Lost Boys.
Check this one.
I got this record
Yes.
right here on Atlantic. See that Atlantic record? And so people could say whatever they want about me, but I did it. I had my, I mean, that it's not easy to get a record deal like that. And people say, oh, they were handing them out like, just, like, just handing record deals out. They weren't handing record deals out. When you look at it, there really wasn't that many compared to how many bands were wanting them. But I mean, so I ended up, I ended up doing that, and it was kind of the end of that era, right? I mean, it kind of like 89, 90, there was a completely different vibe that was happening with, you've heard it a million times with Nirvana and Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots and all of that. And so that kind of came to an end, and then also you'll have people that, they hate that record. They just hate me. There's nothing good to say about it, but it's probably these musicians that never, did anything. And I probably dated their girlfriends. And anyways, that's kind of, I don't know what I was getting at. It's just with Odin, I kind of got pulled away from them because I wanted a record deal, and I just, I could do it. And
the Odin record you just put up, and the Lost Boys record, those are two of my holy grails that I'm saving my money up to get off of eBay, because
really,
those albums fetch a mighty pretty penny on
that's
on
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like this record here, there's a couple of them I just looked the other day. This is actually my daughter's. I only have one of them, and I just put a bid in for one. It was like $170.
That's what,
Because
yeah.
I'm going to get them like all framed professionally.
Right.
And then this record, so this is The Gods Must Be Crazy.
Oh, okay.
So this was after, well, I don't know exactly when it was. So this was Don't Take No. Yeah, then we did The Gods Must Be Crazy. And then we did Fight for Your Life. And Fight for Your Life is very difficult to find.
I know. Sean was telling me he sort of like what you're saying now. He said it amazes him even to this day, going to LA gun shows, how many people bring Odin albums to him. And he's like, he said, it amazes me. A 12-year-old kid will bring, in Japan, you can get an album with it's called an obi strip, OBI strip. It's written in Chinese on the left side.
Yeah. That's,
he said some girl, I believe it was the album you just showed me, The Gods Must Be Crazy, because it's really hard to find with an OBI strip on the side.
Yeah.
And she brought it up there and wanted him to sign it, and had another one of the band members. You hadn't signed it, but someone else had signed it too. And he was amazed. He said, it amazes me, these people that come up to us after all these years. I said, well, what you don't understand, maybe not in your head, Odin was a staple in Hollywood, and you guys, it may not seem like it, but you guys were pioneers in a lot of ways in what you did and how you stuck with it. The Lost Boys I like the music of the Lost Boys. I like that album.
Oh,
it's different. It's different than Odin. But
yeah,
it is and it isn't. But it's a different sound to it.
Yeah,
that's one of my holy grails that I will put on my wall one day. With the other stuff I have. But
yeah, I was going through a lot when that record happened, really kind of finding myself. And there's a lot of things that happened with that record. Like, I wish I knew what I knew now.
Sure.
As far as making records, because for one, the musicianship, the musicians weren't that great. And then I was dealing with a producer that wasn't very musical. And so I kind of had to lead the way. And like, looking back now, I would have probably fired everybody, because I kind of went in with this one guitarist that he was always out of tune. It sounds crazy, but he always was just a little out of tune. It would drive me crazy. Ended up firing him in the studio. And then I asked Jeff to come in. So he came in on that record kind of after all the basic tracks were done. And then we had written some songs together that are on that record, but looking back, I remember like that record being done and then going to Atlantic, and then there's like a listening room with like people that are going to promote your record, and you kind of sit down with them. And I was the only one in there with them. And then they kind of told me that like they liked the songs, but they like all the melodies weren't that good to them. And I took it very personally. And they said, what we'd like you to do with that is Kip Winger, which at that time I was just like, Winger? Like, I do not want to be like Winger at all, And they're like, Well, his brothers, they're really good with harmonizing. And looking back now looking at it, wish I would have had them come in, and they're going to help you with your melodies, kind of do some ghost vocals. And I pretty much looked at them and I told them to F themselves, like right then and there. And that was the end. After that, I never heard from them again. They released the record. But like looking back now, I mean, I've made records and I use all those people. You let all these good musicians play on it. Like, I don't know if you heard the Randy O Coming Home record. Have you heard that?
No,
So I
sir.
released a record like 3 years ago. It's called Coming Home. And so like I redid like Lonely Man, but
Okay.
I used musicians. Actually, this guy Roger Carter, who's played with literally everybody. He's like a very famous drummer, and he got like he knows a lot of heavyweight musicians. Like, so I had Matt Bissonette, who plays with Elton John, who played with David Lee Roth, like he played bass. And then I had I had Will Hollis from the Eagles, like he played keyboards. And these are people that, not that I particularly know, but there's just people that, especially during COVID when I did it, were desperate for work. So
Oh, sure.
they're like studio musician guys that it's amazing you could get them for a couple $100 a track, So, but I guess basically what I was getting at with that Lost Boys record, I kind of wish that I would have not been so stubborn and listened to the record company and maybe made it a little more commercial. It might have helped me, but that's kind of it.
But it's not. But
That's
it's
kind
nothing you did wrong. You're.
of,
I've never been a musician, so I don't know. I don't know what you would be put through. But I mean, you're in one situation and you get put into another situation, and all you have is your close circle of people that are around you that are telling you what to do, and you
yeah,
trust in what they're telling you is for your best benefit. But it just, I talked to a lot of. I was more drawn to the more obscure bands during the
oh,
'80s.
okay, yeah,
That was the music that I liked. The Heaven's Edge, the Hurricane Alice, the
yeah,
Odin,
yeah,
your bands like that. But anyway, and you want to put music out. You trust in the people that are guiding you, and they're not in it for your best interest 90% of the time.
no,
They're
no,
in
they
it to
want to
make
hit
that
single.
dollar.
Exactly. They want to hit single.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the thing that sucked about that's another thing that sucked. I have this song called Coming On, and that was supposed to be the single. And as ridiculous as this may sound, so like when I was before I got signed, I was all the publishing companies, they wanted to sign me because they knew how successful Guns N' Roses was with Vicky, and they knew Vicky was in my corner, and they listened to basically whatever she said. So I went and I met a lot of publishers that offered a lot of money for my music. And this one guy, Danny Strict is his name, from BMG, I believe. But so he was like, "This is your hit single." And it was, I still have it today. I mean, it's this killer song. And I had the guy from Darling Cruel play guitar on it. I don't know if you ever remember them. That was another one of Vicky's band. And Salty Dog. Did you ever hear Salty
Oh yeah,
Dog?
Salty Dog. I
So
love
Salty
Salty
Dog.
Dog.
So the drummer from Salty Dog played on
Kurt
it.
Mayer.
And yeah, Kurt, and then the bass player from Faster Pussycat. So they all came in, and we made my demo that got me signed. But so basically, to make a long story short, so then when I got into this new band, the guitar players couldn't play the riff. They could play the basic riff, but they couldn't play all the melodies, like the way that Danny was just this incredible, like Jimi Hendrix guy. So when it came down to recording the record, I was like, that doesn't sound good. Like it doesn't sound like it's supposed to sound, and back to, I should have got studio musicians, but in the end, it kind of, it screwed me by having guys that weren't that talented. Not that Jeff wasn't, but it was already past the point where when Jeff came in, all the basic tracks were done, and he just played the leads. He kind of he played leads over the basic tracks. I keep going around and around in circles, but I just kind of remember that, and I still have that song. I actually just re-recorded that song about a year ago using those musicians. Nowadays, you can, like, I have my friend in LA, and I could call him up, I could send him a demo, and then he's got his studio, and he'll have these heavyweight cats, they lay the track down, they send it to me, and then I can sing on it at home and send it back to them. And so it's just such a different, things are so different now. You can make a record in your home that is incredible. just like that. You don't even really have to be in their studio. It's so different.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just so different.
But
Sorry
at
about
least, no. At least when at least you have a passion for music and you still
Yeah.
wanted to do music, even in the Lost Boys. I've talked to a lot of people in the more obscure bands, and you get lucky if they'll answer you and say, "Well, yeah, sure, I'll talk to you for a little while," and they're like, "I haven't picked up a guitar in 30 years."
Oh no,
You
I'm
know,
so
but at least you still have a passion for it. You know what I mean?
well. If right now, I'm like, I mean, like I said, I have a beautiful home here, and I have a studio. And what I've really pursued now is drumming. When I originally started, I played drums. Not that I was good, but I played drums. I was taking lessons, and then that was my passion. And then once I realized, like, you want to be the singer, yeah, you want to be up
Oh
front.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
gonna get all the girls. And then I just changed my direction with that. But now I've literally taking it very seriously, where I'm working on all the rudiments and talking to drummers and drum lessons. And so no, I love music. It's just in me. It'll never leave me. It's been part of my life. You know, I still get goosebumps listening to music. I cry when certain songs come on, and it's in my spirit. It's in my soul. It'll never leave me, and it's who I am. You
But
know, it's just
that's the
who
way
I
it
am.
needs to stay.
Yeah,
That's where
forever.
you got a good heart because you love something. You still love something after all these years. You still love doing it. That's you
I
didn't
still
walk
like.
away from it, and you know.
Well, it was if they run away from it, then it wasn't what they were supposed to do, anyways. I mean, the thing about it is I mean, I still to this day make money from music, so I did something right. I get
There you
every.
go.
I think it's 3 times a year we get money. I get money, you know. So
Right.
people, you know, the haters can hate, but I did it. You know, I did make it. You know,
Right.
maybe not at the level as Motley Crue, but I also look at it this way. I look at where I am in my life today, and I look at Janie Lane.
Hey, right.
He's
Exactly. He's not here
he's dead.
anymore, and you
He's
are.
not here anymore, and I am. And it's like, and he did it. He made it, but he was not happy with himself. These
Right.
guys that made it, I'm around a lot of them. They're miserable. They're drunks. They cannot find peace or happiness, and it's just crazy. I mean, like, I'm not going to bring up any names because I don't
No,
want to
no,
throw
that's
it up,
fine. Yeah,
but
I understand
I
what you're
see it.
saying.
Like my
Yeah.
good friend is the Jeremy. He's in a band called Lit. You heard the band Lit? That
Yeah.
my own worst enemy. Well, he wrote that song, and he's one of the reasons I moved to Tennessee. Was really pushing that. But there's a person that says without Odin, there would be no Lit. Straight out, I mean, he straight out will
Right.
say that. He's like, yeah, I ripped some stuff off you on this one, and I ripped, you know what I mean? He loves the Lost Boys record, but there's a lot of people in that clique because he's around a lot of famous people, and I'll see him and I'm like, why isn't this guy happy? Because we were kind of talking about, I don't know what I was getting at with that, but
No, a lot of people are they're not happy, but they still do it just because they still like the money that comes in. They still like whatever they do. But I guess if you're used to that kind of money
yeah,
constantly, the fame and the fortune, you can be miserable as a dog, but you're used to the lifestyle you lead and the people you hang around with and the money that comes to you. But
yeah,
you know, in the grand scheme of things, whenever they put you 6 foot in the ground,
yeah.
none of that stuff's coming with you.
Well, no, it's not gonna, but it's like it blows my mind like that there's people that are so successful and that are so unhappy.
You would think they would be the happiest people in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then they do like Janie, they hang themselves, they drink themselves to death. So I think I was spared, I guess what I was getting at. I always think like I probably, if I would have been super successful, it would have been my demise. I honestly feel that. I feel like God spared me because like even when I would be on the road, I was miserable. I didn't particularly like it. It wasn't something that I loved playing and
Hmm.
I loved that, but it's like I think I was spared, I guess. And I think I think it turned out good for me, doing what I'm doing.
Sure. Well, you're happy. That's
Yeah,
the main thing, especially the world we live in nowadays. Happiness means a whole lot,
yeah,
considering what we're punched in the face with on a daily basis in the world we live in. If you don't have, my happiness is sitting talking to people that I have idolized for 40 years. I'm like I told my wife, I was like, I feel like a schoolgirl going out on a prom date when somebody's face pops up there or they agree to do a podcast. I'm more
Yeah,
awestruck than anything else. But that's
I
that's
think
what
it's
makes
cool.
me happy.
Well, yeah, and it's cool that there's people that are actually,
A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. They have stipulations and, well, you better not ask me this or you better not ask me that. I kind of stick to the same. Like what I was going to ask you today was some of your musical influences. We've been talking. How did Odin get started? Well, you've talked about that. What was it like playing the Sunset Strip? You kind of just did
yeah.
it for me. You know what I
Well,
mean?
musical influences. One of my like favorite guitar players, Tommy Bolin.
Okay.
Ever heard of Tommy Bolin?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he I loved Tommy Bolin, but when I grew up, it was, Cat Stevens,
Cat Stevens.
Supertramp,
Oh
Peter
yeah.
Frampton. Those are the stuff my parents were listening to. Of course, the Stones and Carole King, and that's what I was listening to. I mean, today when I get in my when I like right now when I get in my truck and go drive, I'm putting Rat on. I mean, I love Rat.
Yes. Yeah.
So and Rat was such a bit like I think in my head I never got to meet Stephen Piercy, but I love him. It's crazy. Like I think about I want to meet him. Like, and now I can meet him. I could do like a VIP. So I'm not only a musician, but I'm a fan.
Right.
And their music was so incredible. Like do you like Rat?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Most
those
definitely.
records are incredible.
Yeah.
So like a lot, like I'll listen to Rat, I'll listen to King's X now. I mean, I put on some King's X but I love like Frampton Live. I've been listening to a lot lately. Peter Frampton. I mean, that's a great record. And then
We saw Stephen Piercy this past summer at M3 in Maryland. He played M3. Stephen Piercy did. He still puts on a good show. He's got a tight band that's
yeah,
with
they're
him,
killer.
and
They're
yeah,
killer. I watch like I'll look every couple of days I'll watch his shows, and I love that music. It's a shame. There's a perfect example. Here's a band, all the guys but one is alive. And there's so much drama within their little organization that they can't all get together and play and have fun.
yeah,
You
that
know
doesn't
what
make
like
any sense.
it's just ridiculous. It's like I wish I could talk to each one of them and talk some sense into them. Like why is it that you can't make amends, and why what is so bad that you can't forgive someone that you made these beautiful records with that are literally legendary, and go give these people that love you, that made you who you are, and give them a show. I mean, they should be out there playing with Motley Crue and Def Leppard, but for some reason, there you go, they're just miserable
Well, it's
people.
just like I was talking to somebody the other day, just like with Skid Row. If somebody
Yeah,
came up to me and said, "Hey guys, if you guys can get along for about 7 months and go on the road, you'll make $10 million a piece."
yeah,
My worst enemy and somebody that I just really just despised, for $10 million, I could get along with them for 6 months and go on a tour. And like what you just said, you would make a mint, the original members of Skid Row getting back together, with Sebastian Bach. People would pay
yeah.
a lot of money to go see something like that. And I don't
Yeah,
understand why,
it's not fair to the fans, the people that filled their pockets up with $100 bills. They
Mhm.
need they need to put aside their differences, because Sebastian Bach is Skid Row.
Sure he is. Yeah.
Those guys don't think he is, but he is Skid Row, no matter what you think. He's just like, you could say, I mean, Van Halen's a little different, but David Lee Roth to me and Eddie Van Halen are Van Halen,
I agree.
and Sammy's, people think whatever, but to me, David is Van Halen with Edward,
Mhm.
but Sebastian is Skid Row. I mean, if that guy wasn't out there and looked the way he looked and acted the way he acted, that band would have never been. You never would know who Skid Row is. So, I mean, it's a shame once again that these people are so miserable and they can't forgive and they can't move on in their life and put their differences aside for you and me, for the people that really made them. It's
I
sad,
totally agree. Yep.
you
Because
know?
we're the people that bought the albums. We're the people that
Yeah.
bought the concert tickets. And I'm at the age in my life now. I'm 53, and the things I used to worry about, I don't worry about them anymore. What you see is what you get with me. I'm a nice
Yeah.
guy. I get up every day and I just try to be the best person I possibly can be. Try to be
You
nice to people.
good for you.
You know what I mean? And just
Yeah, I mean, like right now, I'm dealing with my mother-in-law. That this has nothing to do with music, but she's on hospice, so she's
oh,
actually with us, and we're taking
oh,
care of her. But when you're around somebody that's dying, it's amazing how you think about your own life,
sure.
and when you realize, like you said, like we have to be grateful for that we can walk and use our
Mhm.
hand, and smell and taste and see and you know just able to use your mind because she has dementia. Like we people walk around so miserable and unhappy and so ungrateful every day we wake up. Man, you got to enjoy your life and be grateful and love the people that are, you know, in your family and your loved ones, and just, you know, like I tell all my friends I love them now because I feel like it could end for us anytime. And some of them kind of are like, really? He just said he loves me. And I'm like, yeah, I love you. I do love you. And I want you to know that because you never know what's going to happen. So, I mean, I could definitely live my life like that, like what you were saying. And I have joy in my heart. And I try to be good to people. And I
Well,
basically thank God I
until
have.
people get it in their head, tomorrow is not promised to you. Tomorrow is a
No,
gift. You know,
for
I think
sure.
when I wake up every morning, I thank the Lord I actually put my feet on the ground for another day. I was
Well, good
above
for
it, not
you. I mean,
below it. You know, so
yeah.
and me and my
Well, yeah,
wife, we look.
especially this like just going on in the world today, you know. I know that this is not about the music stuff, but it's just like it's just crazy. It
Mhm.
is this the world is completely out of control, crazy.
It's
Yeah,
out of
it's
control, and
sad.
you can't turn on the television. And we don't need to talk. You know, we don't need to go down rabbit holes here. But
No, no.
you turn on the television, and you're taught to hate. And in a million years,
Yes.
even my age, you know, I told my daughter not long ago. I said, Chloe, I said, you're only 25. I said, but the things you remember when you were 10 years old or when you were 5 years old, those things are gone. The things I see
Yeah.
now, I never would imagine I would have seen when I was 16 years old. But
No.
the world you know it as an innocent teenager, you know, those days are gone, and they'll never come back. But you just got
No.
to just keep your head up, and you know, just like you say, just tell everybody you love them.
Yeah.
Tell them you're glad you saw them. Be happy when you're around them. Don't be in a
Yeah.
hurry to leave. You know, when you
Yeah,
are
like
around them.
well, yeah, and forgive, like we were talking about these
Yes.
band members, they gotta forgive and move on and grow because if you when you're holding this resentment and anger towards people, it only is hurting you. You're the
Yeah.
one suffering, you're the one that's bitter. Yeah, and I've learned to let go of all of that stuff. I mean, you got you like we're saying, you just these it's just too bad these bands can't let it go and move on in their life and purge all that bitterness. And I mean, even Odin was going to play a show. We got offered to do a show at the Rainbow with KK's Priest, and we all
Wow.
agreed to do it. But
Yeah.
the thing about it, we were going to do it, and I started doing my vocal, you know, exercises, thinking, here we go, I'm going to go for it. And but we ended up not doing it because Aaron, he's in some like Queen tribute band, and he had to go do that. But I mean, we've all forgiven each other, and
Sure.
we're all moving on. I mean, I go see Sean in LA Guns, and when Jeff was here,
Mhm.
I picked him up from his tour bus here in Nashville and brought him to my house, cooked him dinner. You know, I tell all those guys I love them and I support them. So it's like everybody goes through stuff in their life you just got to move on and we don't who wants to be bitter if this world would we all could kind of forgive each other and come together, you know, the human race and not let all this political drama separate us, we would be a much better. Yeah. So let's stay on track here.
Well, I'll ask you one more question. If you could have a conversation with your younger self, what advice would you give them?
Let me think about that. Don't do drugs. Definitely don't do drugs. Don't drink. Believe that you can do whatever you want to do and follow your dreams.
There you go.
And have some type of a plan, a business plan, and then follow it. And because we can all do whatever we want to do, but you need to be able to have a vision of it or see it, and then you need to go after it and never give up and don't take no for an answer.
There you go.
I'm living proof. I mean, I didn't even graduate from high school, and when I was just on my walk this morning, I was talking with my daughter. She's here visiting. How if I could do it, anybody can do it. You just have to believe in yourself. And whatever it is that you want to do, and it's hard work, like we were talking earlier.
Mm-hmm. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So you guys got to put a little bit of work into it.
I bet my cousin, if you want him to do it, he'll do it. My cousin Jerry, the bass player from Warrant.
I would love if he would do it. If you ever talk to him and he would consider doing it at some point in time, just tell him to hit me up on Instagram or
Okay. And he'll do it. I'll tell him
that'd be great.
To do it. I have your phone number and stuff, and I hope that this interview turns out all right. I hope I didn't sound like an idiot. So I remember seeing Rat. I'm going to go through a few bands. I remember seeing Rat at the Troubadour. I saw Warrior at the Troubadour. Played with Wasp at the Troubadour. But I remember, being young, walking into the Troubadour, the smell of it, that whiskey smell. Mm-hmm. And then seeing them come out and just going, holy shit, look at these guys. They look like models from Europe. They had these big like shoulder pads and Vogue models. You remember that look that they had?
I know who you're talking about.
And then just like going, I want to be like them. I want to be like that. That was so and that was a big impression. And their sound was amazing. Like just standing right in front of Warren and just going, this is just so unbelievable, because I'm still listening to their music today at 60 years old. But the most incredible band that I ever saw was Warrior. Did you ever listen to Warrior? Remember Fighting for the Earth?
I have some of their music downloaded on iTunes. Yeah.
And Perrymore McCarty, the singer, is just his vocals. Now I'm like, I want to be able to do that. And then see, we played with Wasp, and I remember like I lived with Chris Holmes. I don't know if you knew that, but I lived with Chris Holmes for a couple of years. Wow. And as far as like decline, like people will talk about him when he drank that vodka, and he'll still say that was vodka. No, that was not vodka. He had been on like a 3-day binger, and I still talk to him, and he came home. And he'd been doing all the drugs, and he was completely just out of his mind. And we both were doing the decline. He did it. He went to film before me, and then I went after him. And he had the bottles of vodka, those 3 bottles. And he goes, "Hey, go fill those up with water. I'm heading out. I got to go do a video shoot." So that is the truth on that. He had drank a lot of vodka.
I believe you because I just don't see how anybody could sit. I ain't saying it's not possible, but I don't see how anybody could just chug a 5th of vodka like that without just your stomach wouldn't be able to tolerate it, number one.
Well, no, he had drank those 3 bottles over 3 days, probably. I mean, he drank straight vodka.
But just not what he was doing in the pool. No, yeah. Your body couldn't take that.
He didn't. I'm for 100% positive. I am not making this up. I lived in the apartment with him. I have witnesses. Now, I filled those bottles up with water. I was the guy, And but the other thing too, I remember playing the country club, and this is when like Odin was we were big. We were selling out. It was right before the US Festival, and Halford was there. Gene Simmons was there. I remember Gene Simmons telling us he liked us, but we need work on our songs. And then Halford he talked to us, and then Dio was there, and I have all these pictures from that time. But then the trip of that is then we went to the US Festival. Have you ever heard of the US Festival?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing about it was, so then I saw Halford, to me, they were the best band that day. I mean, Motley was amazing. Van Halen was amazing. But if you watch that US Festival footage, it's incredible. That Priest just sounds so good. But then later on, we were in Arizona, and then there's a picture of me and Sean, with Halford. And back then, I mean, I hope this is okay to say, I mean, nobody really knew he was gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now looking back at it, I know why he was so nice to me. You know what I mean?
So nice
I gotta go, oh, now I know what was going on. Back then you're naive and you don't know. But anyways, that's just a little whatever tidbit. I love Halford. I think I tried to be like him a little bit. But anyways, enough of that.
Well, I do appreciate you taking the time to come on here.
All right, buddy.
And I
Thanks
will.
for having me.
I'll text you and let you know when I'm going to post it.
Okay.
And
I'll let my cousin know about you. I'll exchange the numbers with he's a trip, and I'll get you hooked up with him. I'll tell him to do that.
Well, I do appreciate it. And thank you so much. It was an honor to meet you, and it was an even more honor to be able to talk to you. Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, God bless you, man.
God bless you, sir. You take care.
Hey, you have a great life.
You too, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Over the years, I've read about Randy O, and everybody says the same thing, that him sitting in the hot tub, it just showed arrogance. I'm going to be the greatest, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It's like we said in the interview. If I was that age, living in Hollywood on the Sunset Strip at the time, it's like Randy said, I would want to be the best musician ever. That would be what I would strive for. I was real excited about this interview. I know he doesn't do a whole lot of interviews, but he was gracious enough to talk to me. He's got a passion for music. He's still playing music now. And whether you want to admit it or not, Odin was a huge influence on the 80s metal scene in Hollywood. These guys played and played. They did their dues. They played sold out clubs. Randy showing, they sold just as many records as Motley Crue. It's interesting to hear their take on decline of Western civilization, because they made it look the way they wanted it to look. Those bands on there, some of them never made it big. You had Seduce, you had Odin, Tough was on there. They showed the bands that were already huge, like Poison, Faster Pussycat. But to me, those guys that played every night for little or nothing paid their dues, and everybody wanted to see them. It was great talking to Randy and listening and hearing about how he felt about it. And I'm going to tell you, Randy, if you listen to this, you're a good man. You're a passionate man. You made a positive impact on the 80s and Hollywood, and it was an absolute pleasure to be able to talk to you. Everybody, thanks for listening to the podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm still going to put them out. I'm enjoying talking to people that, like I've said before, I never imagined talking to. You guys take care of yourself and do like we talked about in the podcast. Tell your loved ones you love them. Be happy when you see them, because they're not going to be around forever, and we're not going to be around forever. God bless each and every one of you. Keep the music alive. Until next time, this is the Hair Metal Rules Podcast.